Well, Barcelona lost against Osasuna, the very first defeat of the Hansi Flick era. Let's get to it. What's going on, guys? ¿Cómo están? BugaLuis here. It's been like 2 seasons since we did a review here on the channel, but here I am. You got me now. So let's live in the present and let's talk about Barcelona and what happened with them today. They lost away from home against Osasuna 4-2. It's a hard defeat. It's a very big scoreline for what the match actually ended up being and resulted and the way that Barcelona played. It's definitely a very big toll to take on this team, particularly by the way that they were playing and how good they were and how coherent they played in La Liga so far. So it's going to be a hard pill to swallow. But I'm going to try to break it down for you because I also need to assimilate this with you guys because it's, like I said, a tough defeat. So coming into this game, well, it was hard. Like I said, it was hard coming into it because we had a lot of rotations. So if you actually give me the time to go ahead and what is our official lineup. We had Iñaki Peña, Cubarsí, Ferran, Pedri, Lewandowski, Pablo Torres, Pau, Victor Koundé, Eric, Gerard Martin, and Sergi Dominguez. So the lineup, as you can see on screen, goes as follows. We had rotations with Sergio Dominguez coming in for Íñigo Martínez, Pablo Torre continuing to play, Eric Garcia for Marc Casado, and we had Pau Victor and Ferran Torres for Lamine Yamal and Rafinha. So Hansi Flick definitely decided to rest players in La Liga because he thought maybe I have a good enough margin, maybe I can wait a little bit and rest my key players for the game against Young Boys, which is going to be sort of Barcelona's debut in the Champions League. They have to get back to it, right? They have to win that game as well. So he had to sort of prioritize the tools that he had at his disposal. He had to rotate where he could, and that's how he saw fit. I definitely think that resting Lamine Yamal was the right idea, but as soon as I saw this lineup, I was surprised that that either one of Rafinha or Yamal were not playing. Like, definitely you need to have one of those two starting. You need to have some sort of creative fulcrum in that attack, in that sort of to linchpin basically your bets. You need to have someone that can create. Robert Lewandowski gives you that in terms of the merit and player that he is, but he's not a guy who can create chances on his own. He's not the guy that can lead that attack for Barcelona on his own because he needs service. Like we've seen before when Lewandowski played with Xavi, he dropped quite a lot to that sort of false 9 position between the gaps of spaces between the striker and the number 10. So that's where Lewandowski, you don't want him there. You want to be a poacher. You want him to be that advanced forward, completely there around the box, just looking for those second rebounds or opportunity to get a foot on it, right? That's Lewandowski in a nutshell. Lamine Yamal and Rafinha are much more creators, and particularly each of them are creators in their own way. Rafinha a little bit more centrally. Lamine Yamal, he likes to use, his dribble short to his feet. He likes to take a man on and likes to find that, that lobbed cross sort of with his left foot, that gentle cross that he does always. And Rafinha can use a bit of his speed. But here, Ferran Torres is not known as a creator. He has never been a creator since the days at Valencia, where he was like a proper right winger. And looking at Pau Victor, he looks to me as a either replacement for Lewandowski or just a striker, kind of being a false winger. And he's not either a creator or someone that can use speed to his advantage and take a man on. So Barcelona were lacking that. A lot, and that's something that we saw in that first half. We're going to watch the highlights of the game. Hopefully, it doesn't copyright strike us. I think it's going to be okay if we do it very shortly and very precise. And of course, guys, if you can support this video by liking and subscribing to the channel, we're going to do videos a lot more frequently here on the channel as well. I promise you. I'm back in a good way, in a good way mentally as well. So I'm not that saturated. So I'm going to be posting more content. But like I was saying, this is the lineup, right? So this lineup was quite heavily rotated. And I think that's where Barcelona struggled quite a bit to find the rhythm, particularly, like I was saying, in the forward chances, but also in the forward areas of the pitch. But also we have to take a look at what is Barcelona in the build-up play. Because when you had Gerard Martin and Sergio Dominguez, they are two players that I've always said, sure, I like them to be part of the squad, and they're mainly here because we don't have many other options. But I'm sure that as soon as anybody comes in, like if we had a proper left back, any other left back, even a Marcos Alonso, I think he would be higher up on the list than someone like Gerard Martin. And the same with Sergio Dominguez. I think Sergio Dominguez, Like, if you had Cubarsí, Christensen, Araujo, Koundé, and Íñigo Martinez, Eric Garcia even, all of those players together, he would be at the bottom of the list. That's not saying that he's a bad player. He's just, let's actually go back. Let's see how old is he. Sergi Dominguez, if we open up his profile, he is 19 years of age, which is, I mean, still quite young, right? But in realistically speaking, he's not someone that I would say I would love to have him, as a proper player in and around the first team. I think that right now we saw how quality or how age limits certain players, and in this case, Gerard Martin and Ciro Dominguez, that experience away from home on a very difficult ground like Osasuna, which is a ground that Barcelona has always struggled with. Historically speaking, Barcelona has struggled there a very long time. So if we take a look at the head-to-head, then I also wanted to show you this. Look, at their ground, Barcelona barely won, 2-1. That time, I think it was the cross from Frankie de Jong to Rafinha to his head that worked out. Then Barcelona also won 2-1. Last time around, same thing, red card. We saw one of the teams down to 2 men. Osasuna, they drew in 2021 as well. And then before that, they won 2-0. So that's, and before that, they drew again 2-2. You see a pattern? Barcelona hasn't won there in quite a while, and they never win comfortably. So El Sadar is quite a difficult stadium to go to. And in these situations where we have these youngsters, take this game by the scruff of the neck, it's just very difficult for them. So I think that's where experience sort of came into kind of, it lacked Barcelona. It was this disadvantageous for Barcelona in a way. It wasn't beneficial at all. So that really hurt them. So I'm saying that Cerro Dominguez and Gerard Martin didn't have the best of games. So definitely I thought that that's a place where Flick should have fixed in halftime. Flick really didn't touch the team too much, which I was quite surprised that he didn't. I would have introduced Ansu Fati. I mean, Ansu Fati still, I'm not too sure why he's not playing. I mean, of course, it's because he's come out of an injury, and before that, after a very long injury, and before that, a season with not too regular play time. At Brighton, he didn't play quite at all. So I think that's where we're taking it slowly with Ansu Fati. But I would have brought him on like for Pau Victor, maybe at halftime, or for Ferran Torres more even. So I really don't know what Flick did there. Maybe I would have introduced Rafinha or Lamine Yamal much earlier, 20 minutes in. I thought that maybe he wanted to give a chance to these youngsters to prove himself. Because at the end of the day, if you prove yourself, which Pau Victor in a way sort of did, it's just great. It's just so advantageous, right? It's so much better for these kids to get. I say kids, but I'm just like barely like 4 years older than some of them. So it really can push you forward, right? It really can take you to next levels. And I think that's what Flick wanted to look for in this team. But at the end of the day, it didn't happen. So Pat Victor, I mean, sort of took that chance. He scored in the 53rd minute, which is good. But then Barcelona never really capitalized. I thought that Flick wanted to capitalize with the changes. We saw then the goal or the chance, the penalty that Cerro Dominguez committed, which was awful in itself. It was really bad. Then a goal out of context for Osasuna, really. Abel Brentones, number 23, scored a golazo for the fourth goal. We're going to see that one. So, yes, it was all over the pitch, really. I have no idea how can I, sort of comment in all of this, because the game was just out of context. It's one of those games that I believe that if you don't make these rotations, nothing really could have changed. I thought Barcelona, with all of their starting players, played much better. And I thought that definitely that was a very big decision that Flick took, that at the end of the day, it didn't quite work out. And Barcelona are suffering because of their very short squad. That's the best way I can say it. So that's what happened. So now let's take a look at the sort of quick highlights. Let's see if I can bring it up to you guys so you can take a look. I'm going to try to be as short as possible so that they don't copy strike us. If not, I'm just going to cut it out. So you're aware if there's sort of a blank space in the video, it's because of that. So this is the first goal by Osasuna. The very first two goals from Osasuna, I haven't seen them because I was actually taking lunch. So I didn't see them. I was away from home, but I came back and it was 2-0. And I was like, oh my God, So let's see it, right? So here's Osasuna, minute 14. And that's a miss. That's not the goal. The goal is over here. Let's take a look. Okay. Brian Zaragoza. He always turns into like prime Ronaldinho when he plays against Barcelona. And there we go. Yeah, just a simple header. Let's analyze it. Let's take it a bit deeper. Budimir with the goal. Who's not marking Budimir there? Let's see. Brian Zaragoza. And then the header. It's Eddie Garcia or Ciro Dominguez. Both of them. Like, really, none of them really take charge for that, for his mark. Nobody becomes responsible for it. And I think that's a fault, definitely. That's a very big fault of it. Budimir actually then scores a brace. That's surprising because he got the penalty later, right? So now let's see the second goal. I know the second goal, there's a lot of controversy surrounding it because there's a foul apparently. Let's take a look if there's a foul. There's our main man, our boss, Flick. That's a foul apparently that they call on. That's a very soft pass in Ciro Dominguez. Oh my god, now I know why they're killing him in social media. Foul, okay? I call that a foul. The same foul that... It's the same play that Barcelona didn't get against... Which was it? I think Barcelona got a goal disallowed against Rayo Vallecano for the racing thing. And here, Ciro Dominguez is just... I don't know why he pushes so high up, dude. It's a goal 2-0, Brian Zaragoza. Like I said, prime Ronaldinho, assist on a goal already. 27 minutes in, which is pretty good. And he does the Joao Felix celebration, and now he does the... I don't know, there's... Which is... Is that LeBron? Memphis? Somebody does that. I think it's LeBron who does that. Memphis does it in his head, not easy. No, actually, maybe it's a Memphis celebration. I'm not sure. Tell me in the comments. But... Yeah, I mean, Ciro Dominguez, the line is very high up. I'll give you that. But look, here's when the Osasuna player gets the ball. There, also, we should point out to Pablo Torre. I think Pablo Torre should be tracking that man because the man behind him doesn't really affect the play at all at this moment. And then that's either Ciro Dominguez or the line with Koundé and this other player, which I cannot really see. They need to push further forward. They need to either get him offside or already start running alongside the player, right? And Ciro Dominguez does neither, or his acceleration is just bare piece. Like, look at that. So slow. I'm not particularly the most athletic person in the world, but I think I can run faster than that. Anyhow, let's move to maybe other chances. Let's see quickly here. And I'm sorry, I have to move quickly because I have to actually go pick up my mom because I don't know why. She told me if I can. So that's why. But I don't know the reason for it. There's Lewandowski with a shot. Oh, such a bad curl on it. Such a bad curl. Anyhow, let me push further forward a bit to the goal from Pau Victor. Here's where the commentary said that maybe Sergio Herrera had a bad influence in the goal. Oh yeah, come on. Yeah, pudo haber hecho mucho mejor. Like, he could have done quite a lot better. But Pau Victor gets a goal. Like I said, that's good for us. Then we get... My God, like 20 minutes just for one highlight. Anyhow, then comes the penalty, which is this one. Which, should we analyze and say, what would have done there? Like, I think I would have just let it go to the goalkeeper. Like, I think instinctively... You go to the floor, or instinctively you try to get the ball. But here's Sergio Dominguez. Like, apparently, my hypothesis is that he tried to get the ball because that's why he didn't get a red, right? He tried to get the ball, but ultimately got the man, got Budimir, and Budimir will then score the penalty. But that people are gonna say that is a red card, but I don't think it is because he actually went for the ball. And when you have that, even though you're the last man and you're in the area and that's a penalty, it can never be like 3 faults in one. That's a rule. So the rules do not lie. And I think that's why it wasn't given a red. It's at the end of the day, it's a yellow. He sort of went for it. And that's what it is. Then we have Budimir with a penalty on Iñaki Peña. Iñaki Peña, I don't know if he would have done there. I don't think actually there's quite a lot of responsibility for Iñaki Peña in any of the 4 goals. People are gonna go quite heavily and attack him since he's one in this is the 4th goal. So it's been a while since we've had this sort of big margin scored against us, and of course a lot of people are gonna jump on Ter Stegen and people are gonna jump on Iñaki Peña here, even taking into account that Barcelona now has signed Chesney. Tell me in the comments down below you want me to do a video about Chesney. But Iñaki Peña, like, in reality, I don't think he's at fault for any of the 4 goals. Like, come on, look at this final goal, dude. Are you kidding me, dude? That's a golazo. Like, you just gotta applaud that. You just gotta say, like, dude, fair play, you know, fair play. That's a goal. That's what happened. So there's no problem in that, actually. Like, I think that's a golazo. You just gotta stand up. You just gotta recognize it. And there's nothing really that you need to say there. Like, there really isn't. Here's a goal from Lamine Yamal. That's a golazo from Lamine Yamal, really. That really is a golazo. And that's it. That's a game from Barcelona against Osasuna. What can we take away from this? First thing first is that we need to analyze how this defeat will impact the team, but not by this game. We need to see it, and not even by the Young Boys game. I think that the game in the Champions League is important, of course. Barcelona need to win that game, but first they need to win it. Like, they need to win the game, play the Champions League, but that's a different competition. Let's see how this affects the team when it comes to La Liga. When it comes to La Liga and the next La Liga game, I'm actually going to find it for you guys right now. Barcelona fixtures, let's take a look. The next game in La Liga is against Alaves. So here you can see against Alaves on Sunday, that's Domingo in Spanish, the 6th of October, we have to play against Alaves. So that game, which is also away from home, that game is going to tell us a lot. Does Barcelona react? Does Flick rotate? Does Barcelona try to... Does it becomes too much pressure for them? Is it sort of enough bad for them to handle? Those sort of things will tell a lot about this one. Also about it, regarding this team, we need to understand that I think that if it's bad, then it can definitely demoralize this. Like, of course, like in something like FIFA, where you can just sort of rest players for a game, in real life, the whole squad gets affected by things like that, right? So even though someone like Rafinha, Lamine Yamal were not playing from the start, they're going to have more pressure to perform in this game against Alaves and in the game against Young Boys. Even so, Ferran Torres and Pau Victor playing in this game, right? And you would say, okay, but they should feel responsible for what they did. But since they're not going to get the minutes, they're not going to play against Young Boys probably from the start, it's pressure on our starters. And that's something that you never want to see. So, like I was saying, we need to see how the team reacts. And then last but not least, we have to keep an eye on, like it or not, on the Madrid derby. You have to keep an eye on Atletico Madrid and Real Madrid. Who's going to win that? I actually don't have from the top of my head where do they play. If they play at El Bernabeu or they play at the Wanda Metropolitano. So let's see whether Real Madrid can pull it out of the bag. I certainly do think Real Madrid are, of course, favorite for it. Coming into the Madrid derby, Barcelona are top of La Liga with 21 points. Real Madrid with 17. And Atletico Madrid with 15. So if Atletico Madrid were to win that, they are 4 points away from Barcelona. If they win that, Real Madrid would be just 1 point away. So certainly a very big fixture. A lot of things can happen. So let's see how it goes, guys. That's going to be it me for right now. Hopefully you have enjoyed this video. Let me know other topics you want me to cover about. And I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Ciao, ciao. Thanks for watching.